Alright, you guys, and welcome to a new episode. This is Tornadoes of 2013. Mind you, 2013 was one of the most active seasons of the year in the United States, making the United States suffer after all the most damaging and powerful EF4, EF3s, and EF2 storms that the United States had to go through. In this episode, we will be looking at facts and everything what has happened in the tornadoes of 2013. This page documents the tornadoes and tornado outbreaks of 2013. Strong and destructive tornadoes from most frequently in the United States, Bangladesh, Brazil, and East India. But they can occur almost anywhere under the right conditions. Tornadoes also appear regularly in the neighboring southern Canada during the northern hemisphere southern summer season, and somewhat regularly in Europe, Asia, and Australia. There was 916 tornadoes in the United States in 2013. One of these tornadoes was the largest ever at 2.6 miles wide, with a total of 120 fatalities. It was confirmed worldwide in 2013. 55 in the United States, 36 in Bangladesh, 24 in China, 3 in Turkey, 2 in Brazil. Dissipate the high death toll along with several large outbreaks. The year was below average in terms of the number of tornadoes that occurred. This is also the most recent year you have in F5, EF5, and IF5 tornado. On April 1st, Canada began utilizing the Fujita scale to rate tornadoes in the minor modifications to better suit the region's tornadoes. Clockwise from top. Our review of destroyed in houses in Moore, Oklahoma following the EF5 tornado on May 20th. Damage occurs in Bamalaha district and Bangladesh following an EF2 tornado on March 22nd. Radar of a supercell responsible for spawning on record-breaking EF3 near Arena, Oklahoma on May 31st. A destroyed neighborhood in Washington, Illinois following an EF4 tornado on November 17th. EF4 damage to a farmhouse near New Milden, Illinois after a tornado on November 17th. So in 2013, it was 499 EF0s, 309 EF1s, 80 EF2s, 19 EF3s, 8 EF4s, and 1 EF5. January 30th. So here is all the events from. So here is the tornado outbreak of January 29th through January 30th, 2013. So on January 29th, there was a EF1 that touched down northwest of Orlando, Oklahoma. There was a EF1 that touched down southeast of Cedar Spring to northwest of Challenger Mills, Missouri. There was another EF1 southeast of Vista to northwest of Quincy, Missouri. There was an EF2 north of Short, Oklahoma to north of National Dam, Arizona. A EF1 north of Marthasville, Missouri. Another EF1 west southwest of Harris to south of Goshen, Arkansas. And there was an EF0 northwest of Chain of Rocks, Missouri. There was an EF1 southwest of Berryville, Arkansas. A EF0 northwest of Malona, Texas. A EF0 northwest of Stringtown, Mississippi. And an EF0 southwest of Eganland, Arkansas. A EF1 northwest of Daphne, Missouri. There was also a EF2 east southeast of Juneland to northeast of Fixed, Missouri. There was also a EF0 northwest of Machino to south of Old Union, Arkansas. And there was a lot of EF1s, EF2s, and all of that in the event of January 29th and January 30th. There was a lot. And there was also this EF3 that took place southwest of Artisanville to northwest of Petersburg, Georgia. But let's go back. That's the tornado outbreak. Here is Texas. What took place in Texas? Okay, so here we go. This is what we're looking for. The list of the United States tornadoes from January to February of 2023. So here we have, we know it's 916. We have a EF1 that touched down in Louisiana. Another EF1 east of New Iberia, Louisiana. A EF1 that took place. A EF1 that took place east southeast of Plaquemine, Louisiana. And on January 12th, there was a EF2 Hampton, Kentucky. There was also a EF1 southeast of Frenson to south of Elm Grove, Louisiana. There was also a EF1 north of Parks, Louisiana. There was also a EF0 Zachary to South Clinton, Louisiana, and that is East Baton Rouge and East Feliciana Parish. There was also a EF0 south of Eagleville, Tennessee. A EF1 southeast of Polarville, Mississippi. A EF1 southeast of Waynesboro, Mississippi. There was, we read about all those, the January 29th and January 30th events, so we'll skip through those. We did all those already. There was a EF0 that touched down east of Livingston, Texas. There was a EF1 that touched down northwest of Oakville, Mississippi. There was also a EF2 that touched down southeast of Como to east southeast of Columbia, Mississippi. There was also a EF1 that touched down northwest of Jackson, Alabama. And there was also a EF4 that touched down west southwest of Hattiesburg and to east of Pinto, Mississippi. There was also a northeast of Jackson, Alabama, a EF1. a EF1 that touched down southwest of Waynesboro, Mississippi, and another EF1 that touched down southeast of Waynesboro, Mississippi. That was the day of the twins in 2013. There was also a EF0 that touched down southwest of Ocean Ridge, Florida. There was an EF1 that touched down in east of Steph Heard, Texas. A EF0 that touched down south of Mansfield, Louisiana. A EF0 that touched down southwest of Garland, Arkansas. There was also a EF0 that touched down southeast of Kilgore. A EF0 that touched down southwest of Monroe, Texas. And there was an EF0 that touched down northwest of Laneyville. And there was an EF0 that touched down west of Tatum, Texas. There was also another EF1 that touched down northwest of Mount Enterprise, Texas. A EF0 that touched down in Beckville. A EF0 that touched down in northeast of Mount Enterprise. A EF0 that touched down in southwest of Belcher. And there was also an EF0 that touched down in North Cottage, Texas. There was also an EF0 that touched down south of Betcher. And there was also an EF0 that touched down northwest of Concord, Texas. And there was another EF0 that touched down west of DeBary, Texas. And another EF0 southwest of DeBary, Texas. And there was also an EF1 that touched down west-northwest of Timpson, Texas. And there was also an EF0 that touched down in Timpson, Texas. There was also an EF0 that touched down in Gallagher, California. And there was also an EF0 that touched down in Maxwell, California. There was also an EF1 that touched down in Hennenfield, Texas. EF1 in Alico, Louisiana. A EF1 southwest of Gorham, Louisiana. A EF1 south of Clayton, Louisiana. And a EF2 southwest of Bassfield, Mississippi. There was also a EF0 that touched down southwest of Collins, Mississippi. And there was an EF1 in Matthews, Louisiana. And there was an EF0 in East Point, Florida. An EF1 in southeastern Huma, Louisiana. And there was also a EF0 in Tampa, Florida. And there was a EF0 northeast of Selma. So, yeah, but that is not all. That is not all of 2013. We have to go and look at the other thing. So, let's take a look at April. Let's take a look at the Mississippi tornado. Alright, so here are the April events. Here are all the April events. They are in different events. So, here's the April events. There is a EF1 that touched down north of Gibson, Georgia. There is also a EF1 that touched down in northwest of McEwen to Villanor, Tennessee. There is also a EF0 that touched down in Tennessee. Another EF0 southwest of Unionville, Tennessee. There was also another EF0 that touched down east of Christiana, Tennessee. Another EF0 in Lentington, Alabama. A EF2 that touched down in Kilpatrick, Alabama. And there was also another an EF1 that touched down east of Bossier, Alabama. And there was an EF2 that touched down west-southwest of Rainsville, Alabama. And there was an EF2 that touched down northeast of Greenville to west of Concord, Georgia. And there was an EF1 that touched down southwest of Waynesboro. And there's also an EF0 that touched down south of Shelton. There's also an EF0 that touched down northeast of Hawkinson. And there was a EF1 that touched down south of Somerset, Somerset, Kentucky. And there was an EF1 that touched down southwest of New Tazewell. There was also a EF0 that touched down southwest of Sutherland, and another one south of Nebraska. And then there was an EF0 that touched down southeast of Wybark. And there was a EF1 that touched down southwest of Sallisaw, Oklahoma. There was an EF1 that touched down southeast of Silverton, Texas, and an EF0 that touched down in Red Bluff, California. And there was also another EF0 that touched down in Big Pine Key, Florida. There was a EF0 that touched down southwest of Paradise, Kansas. A EF0 that touched down in Pinnacock, Colorado, Exia, Colorado, Elba, Colorado, and Exia, Colorado again. And there was an EF1 that touched down in Bilko, Nebraska. There was an EF2 southeast of Scotland to Plant, Arkansas. And there was an EF1 north of Rushing, Arkansas. There was an EF2 northwest of Mount Olive, Arkansas. A EF1 in St. Alabama's, Missouri. And an EF2 in Bridgeton to Florissant, Missouri. And there was a EF0, The Hill, Missouri. And there was an EF1 in Garnett Bridge, Arkansas. Also a EF0 in Poplar Bluff, Missouri. And there was another EF0 west of Douglas, Missouri. There also was an EF3 southwest of DeMarcus, Missouri to east to Ellisville, Alabama. And there was a EF1 southeast of Lubbock to North Slidell, Louisiana. And there was an EF1 south of Nauvoo, Alabama. And there was an EF1 northeast of Nauvoo, Alabama. And there also was an EF1 west of Houston, Alabama. And there was an EF1 Addison, Alabama. A EF1 Centerville and Mount Vallejo, Alabama. An EF1 in Huntsville. An EF1 in Huntsville. A EF0. And a EF1, another EF2, and here is a EF1 southeast of Dahuliga to southeast of Garland, Georgia. And there was a EF0 southwest of Alpine, Cypress, Menipau Airport, Texas. And there was an EF0 in East Point, an EF0 of Coca, an EF0 toward Rockledge, Florida, an EF1 northeast, and there was also a EF0, another EF0, Indian Creek, Missouri, And there was another EF0, another EF0. There was also a EF1 west northwest of Granfield and EF1 in Liberty, Oklahoma. The April 18th event, there was an EF0, a EF1, then a EF0, another EF1, another EF1, then there was an EF1 northeast of Clatayud to Salina. And there was also an EF1, EF1, and there was an EF0, EF1, EF0, a lot of EF0s. And the April 19th event, there was also a EF1, a EF2, and from Mansfield to Newborn, Georgia. And there was also an EF1, another EF0, another EF1, and there was an EF0. There was one in Kenner, northwest of Kenner, Louisiana, is the suburb city of New Orleans. And there was also an EF0 in Medtertini, Louisiana. Also an EF0 north of Punan, Oklahoma. There was also an EF1 west of Belleville, Louisiana. And there was one southeast of Mason, Tennessee. And
after I'm supposed to get my food steps, then they gonna give them to me till after the phone interview.
Cause you working.
They know I missed the phone interview for the 24th because my phone was off.
And then there was this EF2 southeast of Popey, which is somewhere in Mississippi. And then they had an EF0 northeast of Moreland, which is in Georgia. And they also had a EF0 northeast of McDonough. And there's also a EF0 south of Clay Hill, Georgia. And then there was one in Ridgeway, northeast of Ridgeway. And then there was also and then there was a EF0, another EF0, both in Trafty, Texas. And then there was a EF0 south of Verdure, Texas. And then there was a EF0 in South Palm Beach, Florida. A EF0 in west of Whitrow, Texas. So that's the March and April events. Now we're going to go check on the May 31st, the May 15th Texas event. Here is the 2013 Granbury tornado. Someday I will do a full video on this tornado. But this was the 2013 Granbury EF4 tornado with 180 miles per hour. It caused 6 fatalities, 64 injuries, and 7 missing. Areas affected was Granbury, Texas. Yeah, so, I will be doing a video on that someday. Here is the May 19th Oklahoma tornado outbreak. 78 tornadoes, maximum was EF5. And I'm going to do a video also on this someday as well. And this is May 20th through May 26th. Yeah. And there was also an EF4 and more. And an EF5. More Oklahoma. I will do a video on this someday. Also, let's check out the May 20th Oklahoma. 24 deaths. And here it is, the 2013 Moore, Oklahoma tornado. Here is some of the, all the things you can watch. And it was a EF5 tornado. Highest winds were 200 to 210 miles per hour. Areas affected was McLean and Cleveland counties. Oklahoma, part clearly the city of Moore. I don't understand how many times Moore can be affected with EF5 tornadoes after the 1999 Bridge Creek Moore tornado that literally killed almost 1,000 people. I just feel very sorry. But it was a EF5. It dissipated it was from 2:56 p.m. to 3:35 p.m. is when it dissipated. And it lasted 39 minutes as an EF5. The mileage path length was 13.85 miles per hour. Let's check out the May 30th Arkansas tornado. So here is the May events. The list of tornado in outbreak of May 26th through May 31st tornado outbreak. So you got an EF0 that touched down northwest of Mountain Home, Idaho. You have an EF0 that touched down southwest of Dillinghall, which is Iowa. You have an EF0 that touched down in Metatese, Wyoming, and you have a EF0 that touched down northwest of Kimball. Not once but twice in Nebraska, and you got an EF0 that touched down north of Opelaho, Colorado, and then another one in Opelaho, Colorado, and then a EF0 southeast of Harrison, Nebraska, west of Hemingford, Nebraska, which was a EF0. Also, a EF0 north of Clatty Wells, Colorado. A EF0 northwest of Smith Center, Kansas. A EF0 south of Bel Air, Kansas. And a EF3 north of Lebanon and Isbon, north of Isbon, Kansas. There was an EF2 in Edgar, Nebraska. A EF0 in Sheha, Nebraska. A EF2 in Herbine, Nebraska. A EF0 in Beatrice, Nebraska. And there was an EF2 in Marysville, Kansas. And there was an EF0 northwest of Clear Lake, Oklahoma. A EF0 in Forgan, Oklahoma. A EF3 west of Corning, Kansas. Then a EF1 west of Corning, Kansas. And then a EF0 west of Porter, Nebraska. A EF1 north of Corning, Kansas. A EF0 north of Lake Alice, Nebraska. A EF0 northeast of Culver, Kansas. A EF3 in west of Billington, Kansas. EF1 south of Allen, South Dakota. EF1 northeast of Cranesville, Pennsylvania. EF0 east of Albert, Kansas. EF0 south of Otis, Kansas. EF0 southwest of Bootleg, Texas. EF0 north of Eddingsboro and to southeast of Union City, Pennsylvania. EF0 northwest of Woods Hole Township, Michigan, and EF0 south of Maurice, Michigan, and EF1 north of Flint, Michigan, EF1 southeast of Bancroft to northeast of Gaines, Michigan. EF0 in Mazan, Illinois. EF0 in Brookstraw Township, Pennsylvania. EF2 in Fenton, Michigan. EF2 south of Grand Brat, Michigan, and EF1 southwest of Warren, Pennsylvania, and EF0 northwest of Walcott, Deaf Smith, Texas. I gotta say, man, the 2013 season is very packed with tornadoes, especially these two EF3s. This EF3 was southwest of Weldon Spring to Riverview, Missouri. It went to St. Charles, Missouri, St. Charles County, St. Louis City, and then this long mile wide EF3 went from north of Billing 14A neighborhoods, Missouri, to north of Edwardsville, Illinois. That was a long map, EF3. But yeah, guys. Yeah, guys. I am just very, 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 you know what I'm saying? I am just very excited about the things I do and the thing and stuff I do, guys. But if y'all enjoyed this episode, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and comment what your favorite part was. Peace.